Okay, this should be just for second block. Third block got the inflation talk, but I want to talk about inflation. Inflation is simply an increase in prices. You should have watched the CPI inflation YouTube video, but I want to talk about inflation in general terms. What inflation does is it takes away your purchasing power. As prices rise, we can buy less stuff. Now, if your prices rise by 5% and your wages, that is to say what you make, rise by 5%, then inflation doesn't hurt you. But if you're making $100,000 in year one, and then in year two you make $105,000, your wages have gone up 5%. But you don't know how much better off you are because you don't know inflation. Inflation is an increase in the price level. If inflation went up by 10%, that means that prices in general are 10% higher, then you actually have less purchasing power. You have 5% less purchasing power. Here is an example that I did in third block. Okay, I hope you guys can see this. Let's say that you make $1,000 a month. And let's say that burritos are $7 per burrito. If you spend all $1,000 on burritos at Qdoba, which I think is a pretty good investment, you would have 142 burritos. But if burritos went up to $8 a burrito, you would only be able to buy 125 burritos. So what the increase in price did was the increase in price reduced your purchasing power. And that's what we are learning about when we talk about inflation. Our prices are measured by CPI, which you should see in the video. Change in CPI measures inflation. So if the CPI went from 100 to 105, that's a 5% increase in inflation. So we look at change in CPI, and the equation for percent change would be, it should be on the video, but end year minus beginning year over beginning year times 100. And if you want to write that down or back it up or whatever you have to do, and Ms. Jury should be able to pass out to second block. Third block already has it, but second block, there's some price index stuff on my desk that she can pass out to everyone. Prices are measured by CPI. Changes in CPI measures inflation. Inflation, as prices go up, we can buy less crap, right? And so that's what we need to know about inflation. The three things we learn about in macro right now are going to be unemployment, which you should be working on, unemployment rate and all that. That's how we measure unemployment, is through unemployment rate. We learn about inflation, which is an increase in prices, and we use CPI, Consumer Price Index, to measure that. Obviously, I'm going to talk more about this when we come back, but you need to understand the issue of prices on some level, and so that's what you're going to be doing, okay? So what inflation does is it hurts your purchasing power. That's why it's bad, okay? Make sure you've watched the CPI inflation video and work on the second page. There's a data table with like cassette tapes and 6-pack of soda and something else, and work on viewing that together. If you have any questions, write your questions down, and then I will answer all of them after Christmas. Obviously, unfortunately, we are going to be back, in 2 weeks, but I don't want this to be a missed day, even if I'm gone. So work on your unemployment stuff that I've assigned. Watch the CPI video. Watch this. Work on your on the one page, and then if you get time, work on Freakonomics. All right? There should be no excuses not to get stuff done.